All right, you ready? I'm Sarah. I'm Piper. I'm Harper.
Are we recording? Because I never trust her at the beginning of these shows, like what to talk about.
You know that SNL skit?
What is happening?
Okay, she doesn't know the SNL skit.
I might.
It's where they do the Lawrence Welk, and it's the ladies, and I'm Sarah.
Oh, gosh.
You don't want to know. And I'm Denise. Okay. This is Two J's in a Pod. I'm Mary Ellen Murphy with WGHN Radio.
And I'm Sarah Leach with the Ottawa News Network.
The Ottawa News Network website looks fantastic. And I know I told you that
thanks.
last time, but it does. It's the first thing I check every morning, by the way. We're going to talk a little bit about national news. President Trump said he's going to go straight to the Supreme Court after a lower court ruled most of his global tariffs are against the law. Trump said, quote, "We're going," unquote, to ask for an expedited hearing with the High Court today. I don't know what's happening there. He's preparing to deploy the National Guard in Chicago. They learned that military vehicles started staging near federal property on Tuesday, including the naval station, Great Lakes in North Chicago.
I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time before it's Detroit.
Here's the thing. I'm really, really getting tired of him calling these cities shitholes. Your office is a shithole, okay? A shithole of gold.
Well, and I mean, at least he's graduated from calling other, third world countries that, and he's focusing on American soil.
I'm waiting for him to call.
Step in the right direction.
I'm waiting for him to call the city of Detroit that, because people are going to lose their you-know-what, because that city...
Are they, though? I mean, because... at this point, we're so numb and desensitized to all of the stuff that he says that the people who actually live there aren't really going to be all that surprised.
I don't know. My Pure Michigan segments every week has one little thing about Detroit in it.
Yeah. It's the biggest city. You have to.
Whether it's the hotels or it's this or the concerts or they're doing this, they're building this. It's unbelievable what's happened in the city of Detroit.
Right.
So if he calls it a you-know-what, I'm going to lose my SHIT.
Oh, we're not going to say shit now? You already said it.
I will lose my shit. Your office looks like a shithole, pal. Okay, they had a news conference, and I actually agreed with Marjorie Taylor Greene in terms of the documents with Jeffrey Epstein. They spoke. There were several people. Nancy Mace was there. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. I always say her name wrong. Boebert. She was there. There were some Dems there, and they're just saying, listen, you need to release these files and blah, blah, blah. So they're still talking about that.
I just feel like this whole thing is a red herring. I mean, and not a very successful one either. I mean, it's just, I don't know why we're even still talking about it. We all know that something crazy went down. We all know that everyone's involved. I mean, let's just accept it.
Because I think that
we have real problems to focus on.
But I think that people want these people that were involved to resign.
Would they?
Because if we call their names out and say so-and-so, they're not going to have a choice.
Really? You really think that?
I could be wrong.
I mean, we have a president who's been convicted of 34 felonies.
I suppose you're right.
I don't think that that's the reality of the world anymore. It used to be like if you even had a DUI 20 years ago and somebody found out about it, it's like, oh, you don't represent American values. Or if you remember Al Franken?
Yeah.
Where it was, I think it was, or maybe it was Garrison Keillor. I can't remember which one is the one that just gave a shoulder rub or something and like completely got canceled. And it's just not that world anymore.
Right.
It's not that world. We're so desensitized to all of these horrific things that people are doing and saying. And I mean, the world has just become so crass. I just don't see any kind. I mean, look, I think victims should be able to find their closure. Mm-hmm. I think that element of it is absolutely valid. But I don't know. There's so many other problems that are here. Epstein's gone. Mm-hmm. The girlfriend is whatever. Mm-hmm. she might stay in jail. We don't know. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't. It doesn't have any relevancy to actual day-to-day life right now. When we've got, like as you said, National Guard storming the castle at all these American cities. Mm-hmm. Why are we still talking about Epstein?
Because I think people want to see other people go down. That's why.
I just don't believe that that's what would happen. I mean, I'm just not naive enough to think that.
And I think that base
I've just been so disappointed with our justice system in so many ways.
I know.
Yeah.
But that bases into the conspiracies and all of that and that kind of stuff. And so they want to see it through. I think that's what it is. They want to see it through. And, I don't know.
I think they're going to be waiting another 3 years.
Probably. I just don't like them calling it a Democratic hoax. It's not a hoax. This really happened. And why are you calling
In the basement of the pizza parlor. Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
God. All right. I got to ask this. And then we'll move on to talk about Ottawa County and the Board of Commissioners and whatnot. But
Oh, goody.
why is Mr. Moss at Grand Valley State University every week now? What's going on there?
I think that he's finding purchase in trying to stage. I won't go so far as to say that it is like a false reality, because I don't necessarily think that that's quite true. But it's the pomp and circumstance. You say enough vague things, whether people are agreeing with you directly or they're mocking you, you're just going to take it all as positive feedback. It's the demonstration. It's the you have to go through the performative theater, and these rallies attract large crowds, and they can leverage that in a way where they say, look how popular we are and look how great Trump is doing. And I just don't, I mean, sure, there's pockets of support for, ultra conservative ideals, even the president. But I think that Grand Valley University is not necessarily the bastion of conservative. No. Yeah, and I don't really, buy any of this whole, it's the public education system and it's the states that have warped students' thinking, and they feel like they can't embrace conservative values. I mean, I think he went to college. I'm fairly certain that he went to college. Yeah. I know I went to college, and that is not the college experience. I work with college students.
Yes,
That's not they don't feel oppressed in any way right now. They are probably more out there with their ideas and their feelings and their behaviors and their causes more than any other generation thus far.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm serious.
That's actually good to know.
Well, remember, okay, so I went to college in the late 90s, okay?
I thought they were really disengaged.
Well, yes, there's an apathy, voter apathy, and civic engagement that is still present. They're probably the most disenfranchised population in every generation. However, when I went to college, we didn't even have Facebook, and we barely had cell phones, and computers and personal computers were coming onto the scene. And so I didn't really have to even hide anything, but we were from a time where we still weren't actively talking about sex. We weren't talking about, a whole lot of drugs. So, if you did it, then you did it in super secret, and you had to go hide in the woods somewhere. You had to go to the bonfire with the crowd, and, you had to have like an invitation pass through 7 people before you figured out, get a treasure map and to find where these places were to go have fun of any kind. And so now it's just not that world anymore. I mean, college kids they're pretty empowered in terms of speaking their minds when they feel like speaking it.
I wonder if he got invited to any parties or any raves or anything like that.
Well, and I got to say, I have never once been to a rave. They kind of scared me.
Yeah, I've never been either.
I was like, I don't know what goes down there, but
I mean, I've gone to after hours clubs, but that was a long time ago in the 80s. Okay.
Well, and just one final point.
Yeah.
I don't like it when somebody who is not a part of a group or has no real experience or maybe personal knowledge of a group that is speaking for a group.
Got it.
And so if you're not a college student, and if you've never really been to a public university, which Mr. Moss did not, he went to a private Christian college, then you don't really understand what that experience is. And so please stop speaking for it, regardless of how old you are or where you live or what your income level is. It's just stop doing that.
Yeah.
They can speak for themselves, actually, quite well.
That's good to know. What is the name of the newspaper at Grand Valley?
The Lanthorn.
Okay. Did he take on the newspaper, Mr. Moss?
Yeah, it's so this kind of dates.
Well, he's really working hard this week.
Yeah, this date, and it's such an odd flex, and the timing is strange. I don't get it. This harkens back to I think they were on campus last week. I think.
Yeah, they were. They've been there. Yeah.
And I can't remember which day it was, but some people were sending me some photos and video, and I'm like, oh, okay, yep, all right, that's neat. And
that's cool.
And so, the university paper is obviously obligated to cover rallies and events and stuff. And so they write, and they're weekly. So they came out with their edition just within the past couple of days. And one of the reporters approached Mr. Moss and asked him whether or not he had read the previous story that ONN, myself, and two of the student reporters at the Lanthorn who are still on staff now.
Got it.
We collaborated on that story when Moss came to campus in May and brought that concealed carry gun
Got it.
on his person, and that caused a big, kerfuffle and a whole lot of questions about what's legal and what's not in gun-free zones and all that stuff. And then, for people who have been playing along at home, that ultimately led to a lot of discussion at the county level about whether or not commissioners could use letterhead to advocate for the changing of policies in universities, because Moss sent a letter with the county logo on it and the letterhead and formally asked as a commissioner for the university to change its policies on guns. Anyway. So this reporter walks up to Mr. Moss and asks him, "Hey, did you see that story in May?" Because that was probably his gentle way of asking, "Hey, you never return any requests for comment," because he didn't. And I know because I coordinated with these students and they were like, "Oh, he's not calling us back," and I'm like, "Yeah, you'll get used to it." Yeah. Anyway, so I guess Moss was confused, and then the reporter had to explain, "Okay, well, it was about." The gun and I think some people sent it to me, and I haven't seen the story yet in the Lanthorn, but the reporter represented that conversation as Moss didn't have any recollection of that story, which I think is sort of open to interpretation depending on how you read that conversation that I just relayed to you. Well, Mr. Moss took great umbrage to the framing of that of that one fact, and now he's gone onto his website. He's demanding a retraction in the Lanthorn, which
say it.
In newspapers, a retraction is when the story is so problematic that it is more false and untruthful than truthful and accurate. It is when a correction or a follow-up will not suffice and will not unring the damage, that the bell has told.
Got it.
Okay. So stop using words you don't understand. What you want is a clarification, because this was not the thrust of the entire story. It was one sentence, and you need to calm down. And frankly, stop going after college students, because now you're just intimidating student press.
And besides,
I really take issue with that.
I know you do. And don't you have your own little rag that you're running? What is it called? The Hollander or something?
Don't forget.
You should
Simply
know this
American.
Anyway. Yeah, you should know this. If you're a citizen journalist, you should know this, Mr. Moss.
Well, I mean, remember, it's Simply American. I can't wait for Franklin and Jefferson to weigh in on this, because they write under pseudonyms. Again, not journalism. It's just, it's not so much the rhetoric, because I'm used to the rhetoric. I've seen it for 2.5 years from him. It's what bothers me is that these are kids. They're not as confident about this stuff as you and I are.
Right.
They can be intimidated quite easily, because they're still kind of finding their legs and trying to figure out whether or not they want to do this for a living. And these kinds of experiences are potentially really damaging to young student journalists. And so I'm doing my best to try to encourage them to say, usually this means that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And the community will respect good journalism.
Good job.
Don't let naysayers like this spoil it for you.
And that's not to say that sometimes we get it wrong. I mean, it happens.
Well, and I explain.
Yeah,
I explain
I've
that.
gotten it wrong before and had to correct something.
And that's another thing that the audience really needs to understand, is that we are not perfect.
No.
I am not perfect. I make mistakes.
Yeah.
I admit them. I correct them.
Right.
That's being a grown-up.
Yeah.
That's just adulting. I mean,
it is.
Journalism is not perfection. You're literally writing history as it happens.
Right.
And what's that saying? It's the first version of history. That the newspapers were considered the first version of history.
Really? That's interesting.
And the more information that you get, the more in focus the picture becomes. So you don't always have the whole story. You don't always have every single aspect of every single situation. I really think that Americans in particular need to stop with these ideals of if it's not perfection, then it's crap. That's not what this is.
Okay.
It's a craft. It's a craft.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a science.
No. Let's move on to some county news with the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners. We do not know the names of the candidates, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Sylvia sort of went on, Sylvia Rhodey, who was an Ottawa County Commissioner, kind of went on something, and I heard her say something called Friday News Dump, and I thought, she listens to the podcast.
Well, then let's segue into the next lessons of journalism with Sarah, because that was on my list to address too.
Okay.
Also, again, we're using terminology that we do not understand. The Friday News Dump is a term that newspapers, or newsrooms, I should say, used when an organization, a company, an agency had something that they were probably required to disclose, but they would time it perfectly for the end of the average working day, which is usually between 4 and 5 p.m. on a Friday, so that they could basically dump it on you. But then all of a sudden they're not available to discuss it for comment because they still hadn't figured out how they want to spin it.
Got it.
That is what the Friday News Dump is. That is not what this is, because in that scenario of a dump, you don't know what's coming.
Got it.
Only the people that are going to tell you know that it's coming, and they're like, "Hey, gotcha. Have a nice weekend. See you on Monday." And so we know that this is coming. We're talking about this on Tuesday. We are looking ahead of these candidates, their names being disclosed on Friday. That is not the same thing. I know it's a minor point to pick, but
I know.
Stop using my industry terms to make your arguments, because that is not applicable in this situation. It is not applicable.
I know. Next thing you know, you're going to hear a time check and a segue or something. I mean, I
know. Don't even get me started on 30s and oh gosh. Yeah.
I know.
Anyway.
I know what you're saying, but it was a very short meeting as the search for the Ottawa County Administrator continues. Can I backtrack a little bit? What is going on with this lithium battery plant in Blendon Township?
It's just a proposal. It's not even it's in there. A formal proposal has not actually been submitted. So I think everyone just needs to calm down. Again, this matches up really well with a lot of the conversations that are happening in other areas of the county, like such as the Save the Campbell plant effort, where the main proponent of keeping the coal plant open and creating an energy utility co-op is very against the green energy plan that Whitmer has championed, along with a lot of environmental groups. And so again, it's like that wave and lull of when Democrats are in power, they tend to kind of push more energy policies, cutting down on fossil fuels and emissions. But then when Republicans get back into power, then they cut those regulations and they walk back a lot of the green energy policies. And so it's like this push and pull. And this project is, again, it's just being used to kind of exacerbate those talking points. And so this is a huge issue for the Ottawa Impact commissioners, because they're very much against green energy policies. They're like, the batteries are going to melt down and they're going to poison the earth. Well, okay. So first of all, anything can poison the earth.
Yeah.
Your car can poison the earth, the one that runs on fossil fuel. The nuclear energy plant that just restarted in South Haven, not South Haven,
the Palisades,
Van Buren County.
Yeah.
And so that can have a meltdown, and within 10 miles, it would deeply affect Allegan County. But, there's a 50-mile radius of a secondary contamination zone that happens when nuclear facilities melt down. And frankly, it gives radioactive emissions into the water, regularly, because this plant is old. It is old. It is older than me. That is old. So, it's just so silly that we take one idea and let's have a conversation about this, and then all of a sudden it's the Chicken Little scenario of we're all going to die if we have batteries. Well, it's that alarmist thing, and it works. That's what the most frustrating part is, that it works.
It does work.
People are like, oh, I don't want that.
Well, school started Tuesday across the nation for most schools.
Blessed.
We're not even talking about the school shooting that occurred the prior week. We're not even talking about it anymore. We're done. We don't even talk about it anymore. Another school shooting, and now we've moved on to something else, and to something else, and to something else. Your kids are in school full time now. How did it feel to drop them off that first day?
Well, the district is in a state of reinvention. Let's put it. I'll try to say it in the most complimentary way I can.
Okay.
I'm very frustrated with my district. as if you're a longtime listener, we talked in, I think it was February, about the closure of an elementary school that affected one of my kids. And it was sort of the sudden nature that where the community was really caught off guard, caused a lot of broken trust with parents and some stakeholders. And now the district is trying to reinvent itself and, reorient some of its schools. And I understand I need to give them some grace in order to work through some of those things, but I should not be getting an email at 8 o'clock at night the day before school starts. It says your kid's schedule probably changed completely.
Oh, boy.
And it did.
Oh, no.
And not only for the oldest one who's in 8th grade at Lakeshore Middle School, but my middle child also had scheduling changes. And it's her first day in 5th grade where you have to change classes.
It's a big deal.
And and she was very nervous about it. And so we did orientation 2 weeks prior where we walked the schedule. I walked her through opening up her locker. You're having to do a combination lock for the first time. It's a big deal. And she realizes that, as the teacher's going through the roll call, that she's in the wrong class. And it's not because her schedule is wrong, it was because they changed the schedule.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, she's 10, and that's embarrassing for kids. And she'll get over it. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, what are we doing? I don't understand why everything is so hard and messy and complicated.
I don't know.
I also didn't get a list of school supplies. I think we talked about that previously.
Talk about that,
and now, as we're sitting here, I'm getting messages from my kids saying, I need to have this kind of a calculator. I need to have this kind of a binder. I need to have this kind of a notebook. Okay, when the time was to tell me this stuff? 2 weeks ago at orientation.
Oh, my gosh.
When we didn't know what the plan was.
Oh, boy.
It's just very frustrating. And I have family who are teachers. I love teachers.
Oh, no, I know.
I am a public school supporter.
You are a huge supporter.
I'm a public schools product,
yes,
and my kids are going in public schools, and I'm just like, oh, my God, you're making this hard.
Jeez, I'm sorry to hear that. Yikes. So yikes. My granddaughter started preschool today. I just wanted to throw that out there. She's so cute. She came home and ate 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and then told her mom, I need to lay down. Because
I am wiped out.
It's a lot. And it's a lot. It's a lot of listening at 4 years old and sitting still and listening and all of that. So I can't wait to see her and talk to her. But on her little thing that she was holding up, it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it said detective. And I don't know where that came from. I'm like, all right. She's not going into broadcasting.
True crime. Hey, it's having a moment right now in our culture.
Well, I'm telling you, it's just hard to. It's difficult to keep up with the news. If we go back to national news over the weekend, there were all these tweets and things going out. Where's the president? Where is he at?
Oh my gosh, I had no idea what was going on, and then I Googled it, and I was like, wait a minute, is this what?
Maybe he had a cold and didn't feel well,
over a bruise on his hand.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
Okay, but kind of take it back like two years, 2 years ago, right, when Biden's president, and everyone was speculating about his mental faculties and whatever. Right. Even then, when even his worst critics thought that he was like in the active throes of dementia, no one thought he died. Right. It's amazing to me that there's he's not seen for 4 days and has a bruise on his hand, and all of a sudden there's a death conspiracy. I know. Theory. It just shows how paranoid our culture has become.
We are paranoid. And then he shows up to that event, and he's speaking, and then he's got all the people standing behind him, and you got Pete. I don't think Pete Hegseth has ever smiled. He's standing there. I'm all strong, and I'm a mean guy. It's like, whatever, dude.
I think they teach that in
whatever.
In alpha male school, they teach you not to smile.
You don't scare me at all.
Or have joy. You're not allowed to have joy either.
What? I'd like to know if he stopped drinking, because that was one of the things he said he would do. He told Megyn Kelly that he would stop drinking. Well, if you're an alcoholic, you don't just stop drinking. You have to attend meetings. There's things that you need to do. And I wonder if he did that.
Well, again,
I wonder.
Going back to, our previous conversation at close to the top of the cast, right, is that, I mean, he has a known drinking problem, right, and yet still accepts one of the top positions in the presidential cabinet, in one of the highest positions in the country, because there's no shame attached to that.
There's no
Even
shame
though he
attached.
knows that everyone knows that about him, it didn't matter. That's my point, is that we have become so desensitized to everybody basically acting like scumbags that it doesn't matter anymore. Wow. Like propriety doesn't matter.
Jeez.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Hate to bum you out on a Wednesday.
No, you're not bumming me out at all. It's a short work week, and I took all my...
Is it, though?
No.
I was working on Monday.
No, I was too. And I have got a city council meeting I got to breeze through and all kinds of other things. But, no, it was a nice holiday weekend. I did a whole lot of nothing, and... I took all my beach stuff out of my car. No more, sand toys, nothing. Because it's done. We're done.
Yeah.
Unless it's like 85 in the middle of September, I might, toddle on down to the beach. But I'm done. I'm ready for sweaters and boots and all that stuff.
I know. I really do look forward to the change. And the fall is my favorite season. So
is it? Did you close your pool?
No, you can still come over. It's heated.
I never did that.
I know. I almost called you out on it, but then you brought it up.
No, well, and you know what? Maybe mid-September, if it gets really hot or something, I'll just come by and do a pool day or something. But so the kids are back in school.
Yep, we're already planning our Halloween costume extravaganza.
Oh, you are? Do you dress up too?
Oh yeah, we do a whole theme.
Oh, okay. I knew it. You're that mom, aren't you?
Well, the deal is, as the kids have gotten older, they're less into working together.
Okay.
So I essentially bribe them, and I say, well, if we go to the downtown event as a theme, then I'll get you a second costume, and you can be whatever you want for actual downtown trick-or-treating.
Got it. Okay.
Which up until last year was on the same day. But so now it's actually different days. So it's always the Saturday before Halloween now
I'll
for
meet
downtown.
You down there. Yeah.
And this year's theme is Greek gods and goddesses.
Ooh, that's all she's gonna say. Ooh, nice.
There's pipe cleaners involved. There's a whole lot of gear involved. Yeah.
Okay, now my wheels are spinning.
I usually have the simplest costume, just so that you know, because I'm always trying to get them,
Oh, I love this about you. I didn't know this about you.
Previous themes have been the Addams Family.
Nice.
Harper went as cousin It, and it was literally this gigantic. It had gathered so many leaves because it's dragging along the ground that she single-handedly street sweeped downtown when we were going down the sidewalk. It was She was so annoyed, and I was like, "This is you have no idea how many people complimented her with the little glasses and yeah."
What was Piper?
She was Wednesday.
Okay.
And she rocked that.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And then what was Ben?
He was Pugsley. He actually hated being in that costume, so he really did the part very well because Pugsley is a very depressed kid.
Pugsley's kind of,
I went as Uncle Fester.
Oh my, I love this.
I had like a bald cap on that was painted white and the whole deal.
Okay, this is too good.
Yeah.
This is too, I got to come up with a costume then. One year at my kids' school, a set of boys went as them, as Colleen and Casey Murphy. And they actually wore the white shirts with the Peter Pan collar and the jumpers and everything.
Oh,
they went
funny.
as my twins.
That is
Isn't
hilarious.
That hilarious? But anyway, okay, now my wheels are spinning. There's also something at the local airport in Grand Haven. They do a trick or trunk or whatever. That's really cool too, I heard. So there's a lot to look forward to.
There's a lot of marinas that do I affectionately refer to them as marina weens. They're usually in the month of September because everyone's closing up their boat. But there's lots of different activities that are coming up.
Do you guys go to Friday night football games?
I don't directly yet, but I'm sure that my time will come when one of my kids or another is going to be involved in something.
That is going to be happening, that they're going to want to go, and you're just going to have to go.
I was a band kid, so I went to every single football game in my entire 4-year high school career, and I'm not ready to go back. That was in the 90s.
Smoking underneath the bleachers, and you're not allowed to come into the football games anymore this year, Mary Ellen, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I was standing at attention, and my knees were locked, and I almost passed out a couple of times.
We did get some nice comments about the podcast. People appreciated what you said about being a woman, and you know how we do not get rewarded for the things that we do.
Right.
That was like a light bulb that went off in my head. But there was a man that commented that I say wow too much and I had too many F-bombs, so I apologize.
Oh gosh, well they don't want to hear me off air because I swear like a sailor.
But they say intelligent people swear, so that's what they say.
Well, when we were talking about that conversation, I actually had a thought when I went home that day. I remember when I was going through my divorce. I remember my attorney at the time. I was kind of venting and saying, well, I do this and I do that, and I'm in charge of all this stuff, and what does he have to do? It's the typical things that, you're the angst that you go through in that experience. And I remember him looking at me in the face, and he said, Sarah, there's always one parent that, inevitably does more than the other, and 9 times out of 10, that is the woman.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
And he said it with such a straight, like matter of fact, and I was just gobsmacked, I think, and I've never forgotten that. That was years ago, and he's right. I mean, it doesn't make it better, but it is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, gender roles are still alive and well.
Yeah, it's something, isn't it? I'm telling you.
Yep.
I think we're done. What do you think?
I think so.
I think we did a good podcast. I got to go over just a minute. For fuck's sake.
Don't forget to take your headphones off. You're going to rip your face off.
All right, hang on. Oh, my God. Hang on. This is so funny.
I love how the audience is probably hearing.
I know. Well, they probably think I was so wild in the 70s. I was just a young girl. Hang on.
You're still just a child.
Watch. What is this?
It's boodoo.
I know.
Okay. There we go.